Welcome. Woo! All right, welcome, guys. So, thank you so much for joining us today. We're coming at you live from Apogee Creative Studios here to bring you the first ever multimedia podcast called Barn Time. And this is where we try to cultivate a productive conversation using the performing arts, so we can have this just sort of very productive conversation here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I know that nights are getting chillier and days are getting shorter, and everybody's looking for some live entertainment, so cuddle up with your beverage and your food and come join us here at the barn. So we have some very special guests here today. We have Kellie Hinze, our resident mayor here in Encinitas. She's a third generation local here and soon to be appointed city council member. And we're very excited to have her and joining us as well. Next to her is Helena Holleran, beautiful singer-songwriter from San Diego. And we're just so excited to have such amazing guests. And so let's get into it. Let me actually also introduce our production staff. We have Andrew Ware behind the computer and making this all happen, and Zach Benavidez as my co-host and operating the camera on wheels. So it's very exciting. Everything on wheels, that's one of our mottos, and we stick by it, just like this pool table right here through On Wheels. And so today we want to talk about all the exciting things that you guys have going on and hear some performance and just sort of get it out. This is our first one, so we're kind of figuring out the bugs and getting everything dialed in. But just wanted to first talk about the sort of the current times that we have going on here. We're taking safe precautions here, and we're thankful that some live music has opened back up, but people are kind of deprived of live music right now, and just kind of wanted to hear your guys' input on that. And I know, Kellie, you've been very involved with live music in this area and have been an advocate for safe gatherings and stuff. So let's hear from you a little bit about sort of maybe your experience of have you seen any sort of live stream shows of your favorite bands, or maybe some safe, socially distanced shows? I know one happened with Helena, and so let's hear a little bit about that from you.
Sure. So I am the deputy mayor, so I'm not the mayor, but
Deputy
I'm the
mayor,
vice
sorry
mayor.
about that.
No problem. And I'm actually the appointed deputy mayor, and this time I'm actually running for election. So this is the first time I've had to go through the full campaign and put myself out there and do all the things that a candidate has to do. So yes, live music is sorely missed, and I think that the job I used to have was at the Main Street Association. And at the Leucadia Main Street Association, our vision was to be the art and soul of Encinitas. And we did that through public art and festivals, through murals, through bringing the community together over just having a good time together. And so when I had to leave that job, but I turned it over to Annika Walden, who's doing an amazing job there. And she was the first person in town who I'd seen find a way to bring live music to the people through a virtual event. And that was how, in fact, I discovered Helena.
Wow.
Yeah, it
Cool.
was really cool. It was, Annika was launching the night before, not knowing if this was actually going to work or not, and just so nervous because you have all these bands you're trying to coordinate and all these different personalities, and nobody can touch and nobody can be in the same space at the same time. And there were times where you're like, oh, is this gonna take off? And it did. And when we heard Helena and you were playing with the new feng shui at that time. And it was just like that feeling hit us, and we had that moment of, oh, we're actually enjoying ourselves now, and we're hearing this new sound and this amazing voice, and it was so, we could be happy again in that moment, listening to live music through our computer.
I love it. I love that you guys are doing that and keeping music going, and the support there for the artists like Helena. And it's cool that you actually wanted her to be on the show tonight, and she was definitely on the top of our list, but we wanted to get you in as early as possible because of the timing with the elections and everything. And we're very thankful that Helena was free and able to do this. So let's hear a little bit from you, Helena, about your experience with just the changing times and gigging. And I'm sure you weren't gigging at first, but then some venues have these little plastic gerbil tanks that they put up and things to keep everyone safe.
Yeah.
So what's your experience been like? Have you been gigging much lately?
It's just starting to pick up this month, actually.
Nice.
Because things are opening up again, and I was super grateful to be called on for the gig with Lucadia 101 Main Street, because around that time there was nothing going on, and this was all we had, and it ended up being a beautiful event with some really special people that just wanted to come out and support the community.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm so glad we all met each other and have started building these connections. Yeah, I mean, live music is essential, I think, for everyone right now. Not only for musicians to be able to work, but for people just to kind of have some peace of mind and some joy in their life. As Kelly said, it's kind of like the first time in a while that they were just able to breathe and just kind of feel happy for a little bit, and that's what we all need more of.
Right, that's amazing. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you could play a song for us, maybe one you did that night, or just a song that means something to you.
Sure,
You can,
absolutely.
Explain to us just the sort of the background on it.
Can kill two birds with one stone there.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah.
Let's get right into it. I know people
Absolutely.
are eager to hear the music.
Go grab my guitar.
Cool. So, also, we're going to be talking about some upcoming projects both of you guys have, and past projects. And so, is this song from something you already have recorded, Helena, or?
This song is actually a bit newer.
Nice.
Well, it's an older song, but I mean, I've spent a lot of time working on it, but we're going to be putting it out in a few months here on a new album that I'd love to
Wow.
talk about more later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that after we hear the
Absolutely.
song.
This song is called Genesis, and that is the name of my younger sister.
Wow.
And
Beautiful.
her name also means a new beginning, so I felt it fitting.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a very important song to not just my sister, but our whole family. It was written around a time when we were kind of all going through a lot collectively, and especially her. But I was hoping this song can kind of bring her a new hope, and
That's amazing.
at the same time bring new hope for everyone else during this time. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy this.
I'm sure we
Can you hear me all
will.
right at this angle?
I think we can.
Okay, awesome. Say goodnight and I'll be there. Don't wait up much longer, please, dear. Say goodnight and just let your eyelids close. You do long until the day nears. Reflect on the time you spent here. Say goodnight and awaken to your soul. You do da 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 da. La da da do. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. La di da da do. You may say that the hour is young. You will thank me as the morning light comes. Sweet little lady, you are my sun. Sleep soundly, my love. Ooh, da 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 da, da da da. 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 Say goodnight to all you can't change. Say good morning to the life you'll make. Say goodnight to the people who treat you wrong. Send your soul away somewhere. Rest assured that you'll find love there. Dream a story that you'd be proud to tell. Yee-dee-da. La-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. La-da-da-do. Do-do-do-da-do. La-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. La-da-da-da-da-da. La-dee-da-da-do. You may say that the hour is young. You will thank me as the morning light comes. Sweet little lady, you are my sun. Sleep soundly, my love. Ooh, da 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 da, da da da. 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 You may say that the hour is young. You will thank me as the morning light comes. Sweet little lady, you are my sun. Sleep soundly, my love.
Wow, that was amazing. That was such a great song, Helena. Thank you so much for sharing your talents with us, and Kelly for taking time out of your schedule for coming. And next, I just want to talk about some projects that you guys have going on. Helena, we'll start with you this time.
Sure.
Because we were just talking about, so you're going to be releasing that one on a new album, and I know you have a EP that came out recently that is so cool. It has a different video for each song, different costume changes. That's so. Tell us a little bit about the projects you got going on right now.
Sure. So that EP I released right at the beginning of COVID, which was perfect timing, as everyone can gather. But I want to talk more about that EP actually later on. I plan on playing a few songs from that record, and we can expand then. But right now, so Genesis, the song I just played, it's going to be a part of a 12-song EP or album I plan on putting out at the end of the year. And those songs are songs that I've been kind of maturing over the past few years, some even longer, and it feels like this collection is ready to be released to the world. And I'm planning on doing it in a very acoustic and stripped down way with light instrumentation with the help of my friend Travis Thomas. He is a great guitarist in town, and he is dabbling in producing now, and we really work well together. And
That's
he
awesome.
has committed to helping me out through this process and getting some bedroom recordings in, you know.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that, and I'm sure we'll be having some more collaborators as well, but definitely we'll keep you posted on how that develops in the coming months.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that info and that song. I love it. It's amazing.
Thank you.
And yeah, of course. So Kelly, why don't you tell us a little bit about some projects you have going on? I know you have a lot of great ideas for the area and for preserving, but also we know that growth is inevitable, and we're thankful to have you in a position of power to be able to lead us in the right direction. You know.
Thank you. Well, first let's acknowledge just that trance feeling that comes over when you listen to Helena sing.
Right?
It's just so,
Wow.
it's, when I put that on and I can go through my day, and it's like I can feel good about working because I have this other part of my brain that's stimulated, and just really feeling that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kelly, you're making my heart melt.
It's all true.
It felt like a warm blanket almost, you know, like my eyes just like they closed themselves. Like, I had no say in the matter.
Imagine walking down like a wide street in Paris and like, oh, I'm gonna sit in this cafe.
Dang.
and drink
I love
coffee.
this imagery. This is so fun.
That's where it takes me. So yeah, I think that ties in nicely with some of the projects that we have on the horizon in Encinitas, and one that's super exciting to me is this project known as the North Coast Highway 101 Streetscape. And in some circles it's really controversial, but it's actually a very beautiful project, and what it creates is takes this 4-lane highway that we inherited from the county that was meant to just be a cut-through road at high speeds to being a place that feels like it has a sense of place, that the street in of itself is a destination. It will be tree-lined, it will have wide bike lanes, it will have these wide sidewalks where you can, you know, walk side by side with a friend and not have to have that stress that you currently have on our sidewalks through Leucadia. And it'll really just slow things down, I think, to be at the pace where we in Encinitas like to live, which is a little slower and a little more thoughtful, and
Definitely.
finally create those opportunities that we need to get around our community safely, especially for kids and for seniors and for everybody else who, you know, needs their street to act like a community street rather than a highway. So that's one project that I'm extremely excited for. That's 17 years in the making, and actually this Wednesday night at our council meeting we approved the construction budget for the project. So
Wow,
it'll
that's
move
exciting.
forward.
Wow,
Yeah,
congratulations.
hopefully. Thank you. By the end of this year we'll have shovels in the ground, and it ties in really beautifully with this other project, which is a rail undercrossing, and it'll be the first rail undercrossing north of Encinitas Boulevard. And I went to Pawlecky Central, which is the elementary school right there, and you see time and again people illegally crossing the tracks or driving to get there, and it's just a mile away. And so this is kind of this common sense infrastructure update that our community really has wanted for a long time, and that also is finally gonna take place. So
That's exciting.
Is it
Yeah.
similar to the one by Swami's, that crossing there?
yep.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
I've heard
it's
about
very similar
that.
to
That's
that.
been in the works for a while, right?
Yes, so close to 10 years that project has been making its way
Wow.
to this point, which is pre-construction.
Wow.
Wow.
How exciting.
Yeah, I
That's
know,
awesome.
and it's kind of funny because you're like, oh, whoever knew that I would be excited about infrastructure and capital improvements, but it actually just means so much more. It just means the community can thrive in a way that we haven't for a long time. You know, we're making the best of it. We're kind of eking out the most that we can get out of our parking lots. You know, we had that wonderful evening. Another time I got to watch Helena perform in a parking lot at Priority Public House, but there really doesn't, that part of Leucadia really doesn't attract people to come on foot or by bike, and the businesses need it and the community needs it. So
Oh, totally. Especially like farmers market on Sundays there. A lot of people are crossing.
yes.
I live just on the other side of the track, so for me, I gotta actually sometimes cross illegally.
Yeah, and people do it, and it's kind of a common practice, but it's
Yeah.
it's definitely not ideal.
Not safe.
Kinda
yeah,
sketchy.
Definitely
Yeah.
not.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you for updating us on that. That's really exciting. So, back to tying together music and everything you got going on with the planning of the city and everything. Is there any plans? I know Encinitas, as far as live music, has had a lot of support, a lot of spots, kind of an ebb and flow, I feel like, of venues, and partially maybe with the laws as far as cabaret licenses. I don't know how easy or hard they are to get. And then I know there was a lot of stuff with dancing and not dancing with some spots. So do you have any visions or any updates or anything with live music in Encinitas and going forward, obviously after we get through kind of what's going on right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know that I fully have the answer to it, but I think that
okay.
we envision more live music and more celebration in our city. Not this year.
Right. Yeah. It's hard, too hard
we've
to
had
do
to
that.
cancel all of our events, which is really disappointing. But
Right.
you know, the Pacific View, formerly elementary school,
Mhm.
that's slated to be a site where art and music can come together. Definitely
So awesome.
quiet because it's within a neighborhood, and that's sort of the problem we run into a lot, is that our business district runs up with residential, and so it's tough on people to have loud music at night, and I understand that for the neighbors. And
Totally.
so Pacific View, I think, will be envisioned as a place for live music on occasion with limits and probably during the day. And then we also just approved an exclusive negotiating agreement with the North Coast Repertory Theater, and so that site would take place in Encinitas Ranch Town Center, where the Target is.
Oh, wow.
And it would be purpose-built as a theater. And so that's very cool too, because that has some live music potential, perhaps, if they're open to it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Amazing.
Is that correlated with it's in Solana Beach, right?
Yes, exactly. So right now they're in Solana Beach, and they've been looking for their forever home
Oh,
for a
wow.
long time. And when Encinitas Town Center was developed, it was developed in that the zoning for this one particular parcel was to be a theater. And so it has that underlying zoning, which is sometimes really difficult to get into a city.
Right.
And so it's kind of like it's all laid there ready for the right person. So hopefully they'll be the right group.
That's awesome. That's really exciting. I didn't even have any clue about that.
I know, yeah, so it's something people don't know about. I also think, you know, we've been doing our sign spinning on the corner for my campaign, and we've got a collaborative playlist, and everybody brings their own headphones, and I could see silent discos being bigger in the city maybe than we.
Oh yeah,
Right,
I
yeah.
hope so.
I've
Take
seen
advantage
that.
of it.
Yeah. Even at some live music shows, they'll do that, opposed to just the tracks playing.
Oh really? I've never seen it with live music.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a cool concept.
That's
Good.
a neat idea, especially for the outdoor venue you're talking about in Leucadia, so the neighbors don't complain.
Right.
We can somehow link that up.
Yeah, totally. I like that idea. It just hit me last night where I was like, why aren't we doing this more in these parking lots and
Right.
activating the
Yeah,
small
that's rad.
businesses, and then they don't have this noise constraint. So
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about some of both of your inspirations and sort of maybe heroes or idols. It can be your parents, your siblings, certain artists or musicians. So Kelly, we'll just start with you, and then we'll go to Helena and have her do a song. As obviously you love Helena, I know. But as far as
do.
maybe local artists or maybe just all time, what's kind of your favorite types of music?
wow, so many. Where to even begin? Well, definitely Beyonce.
Nice.
Yeah, Beyonce is what I listen to when I'm getting ready for a candidate debate or a candidate forum or have
Empowering.
a big meeting coming up. Yeah, it's very empowering. And I think Michelle Obama is somebody who I really look to as an inspirational figure in these times, because what she went through in the White House, you know, it's so controversial to be a local politician, but it's a lot more controversial to be the first black first lady.
Seriously.
So whenever I'm having a moment, I'm like, Michelle did it, and you know, her advice is always, when they go low, we go high. So I try to
That's
take a lot
awesome.
of that negativity and just say, you know what, this isn't about me. This is about how that person feels about themselves and their unhappiness, and I have to kind of rise above it and be an example of how to stay positive even when it feels like the world's against you. But
Yeah.
yeah, those two, and you know, Helena, definitely.
I love it. Okay, so Helena, what about you? What are some, obviously, I hear a lot of Joni Mitchell in your voice and inspiration, and some of the great songwriters like Simon and Garfunkel or Jim Croce is kind of what I feel when I
Oh,
hear
yeah.
your stuff. So
You know all too well. Those are my people.
nice. So is there anyone
Yeah.
other than that, or?
Definitely. There is an artist actually named Amel Larue. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with her.
No.
If you're not, you should be. She
Yeah, that's
is
for sure.
a songbird of soul from primarily the 90s and early 2000s. She was active, but
Okay.
there's a record by her called Infinite Possibilities that I had on repeat for a few years growing up. And
Wow. we'll check
Yeah,
that out
she's
for sure.
a really special artist. But like her and Joni Mitchell are kind of like my two queens.
Wow, thank you for sharing that
Yeah.
with all of us.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, how about we hear another song? And,
Sure.
Is this one going to be from your new album coming out, or?
It is actually. This song I
Nice.
actually started writing during quarantine when we
Wow.
were really in the thick of it and everyone was just stuck at home. There's no way you could leave.
Right, plenty of time to write.
Plenty of time to
and
write.
things to write about too.
Yeah, exactly. And I was kind of trying to reflect the times and reflect my own personal experiences that panned out to be pretty relatable to most people. And I ended up kind of finishing this song with my friend Davina, who's a great singer-songwriter in town as well.
Oh yeah, we love Davina.
We love Davina. She is a vocalist of Boost of Music. And she helped me finish the second verse of this song, like, honestly, a month ago. And
Wow,
we're collaborating, trying to finish it and get it out there soon. So
that's awesome.
This
Yeah.
is called Homemade Hoopla.
Ooh, I love the name. Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. Ooh, shalala, 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 shalala. Talking to myself today, nobody listens, so I pour a glass of OJ. Fresh from the kitchen, got a Aretha on the stereo. Oh, what a miracle, put away my telephone before he says hello. I'm sick and tired of waiting, ooh, and contemplating. This woman's heart is aching, it's time to smell the bacon. I'm homemade, ooh, cooked to perfection. I'm homemade, ooh, without correction. I'm homemade, homemade. I'm homemade, ooh, I'm okay. Ooh, shalala, 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 shalala. Talking to myself today, nobody listens, so I do the same old thing and wait for recognition. There's a spider on the windowsill with so much time to kill. I could learn a thing or two by what he's born to do. It's me and my me oh my, oh me oh mine, mine, mine. Me and my mind, we're homemade, ooh, cooked to perfection. We're homemade, ooh, without correction. We're homemade, homemade. We're homemade, ooh, we're okay. Ooh, shalala, 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 ooh.
Wow. That was awesome. That was so great, Helena.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah, of course.
It's kind of a silly, fun song.
Super fun. I loved it. Really looking forward to that album coming out of yours.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Me too.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about sort of back to these times right now and staying safe. And I know that Kellie, you've been a big advocate for helping hand out masks and stuff, which we're really thankful. I know I've paddled out before and someone at the beach was handing me a mask. I'm like, yeah, I always need another one, you know? And so you want to maybe share some of your experiences with that? Anything memorable that stuck out?
Sure. Yeah, I think that we're living in an era where the playbook is not written, and so we've got to figure out ourselves how we do everything. And government oftentimes doesn't have the answers, but we can get there if we have the right, people thinking and putting their heads together. So let's see, let me go back there. So there was a very dark period in Encinitas when the beaches were closed.
I remember very well.
Big bummer.
Yes, it was so rough. It was rough on everybody. And when the beaches opened up, really, what the result was that we had record crowds at a time where we normally don't have thousands of people coming to the beach. But kids weren't in school, and so, in San Diego County, our beaches became a regional destination. And it was the red tide, so it was not only just the day that people were there, it was at the nighttime people were coming and driving from all over to come to the beaches. And I just realized that it was gonna take some do-it-ourselves solutions to be able to manage that, because it was uniquely a problem for Encinitas, I think, in a lot of ways. So It was 4th of July, the night before 4th of July, the 3rd of July, the governor's office issues this kind of warning to all cities in Southern California and says, you got to shut your parking lots. You don't have to close the beaches, but you have to close the parking lots. And this came at the 5 p.m. on a Thursday of a holiday weekend. Everybody was going home for the day, and it takes a lot to close a parking lot.
I'm sure.
And it really wasn't going to work because the neighbors had been absorbing a lot of the overflow traffic, and people were having barbecues on the street right in front of somebody's house, and they weren't feeling safe. And so we said, what, we have to kind of go against what the governor is asking us. So we have to keep the parking lots open to be able to manage this, but we need to go above and beyond and do something else. So this company had donated, I think we had 10,000 masks to begin with, but if you remember, on the 4th of July, it was really high surf. There was a huge swell.
Yeah.
And so the lifeguards were, fully staffed, and they needed all the eyes that they had on the water, keeping people safe, making rescues. There were a lot of rip currents, and so all day they were busy, and we were like, they don't have the time to be passing out these masks to everybody who shows up without them. And we didn't want the beaches to close again. So myself and the acting city manager and a bunch of volunteers just the night before got together, got some pop-up tents, put them at Moonlight, Beacons. Yeah, just Moonlight and Beacons that first time. And from then on, it just really took off. The lifeguards were appreciative. The locals were appreciative. They understood that if we were going to keep the beaches open, we needed this high compliance. And actually, somebody from the governor's office was sent down to survey and see what it looked like in Southern California. And Encinitas got a great report because everybody using the stairwells and the trail at Beacons had masks on.
That's awesome.
So it was a small thing, but we ended up passing out, I think, 21,000 masks by the end of the summer.
Wow.
And
That's a lot.
Yeah, engaged 60 volunteers, 200 volunteer hours were put towards that effort. And it just really felt like we were in it together, and we had this little community of people who were going to be there no matter what on Saturday and Sunday passing out masks. And I think we all, especially those of us who grew up in Encinitas, we kind of have this sense of this is our beach and we want to protect it and this is ours. And instead we were able to take that kind of local feeling and turn it into like, well, okay, we're the hosts. We're going to choose how people show up at our beaches and how they act. And we're going to make sure that, negative behavior doesn't take over. And I had some really eye-opening experiences, and one was this father. He himself had a disability, and he had 2 young daughters. They had disabilities, and they, kids aren't in school, and he and his wife are doing full-time childcare, and they lived in Menifee, which is, far from here, but this is the closest beach for them to come to. And it was 113 degrees in Menifee that day that he came down to Moonlight. And instead of feeling resentful for people coming to our beach, I was like, we have such an amazing resource that we are stewards of, and we owe it to people in California to be able to enjoy this resource. This belongs to all of us. Totally. And so that really changed kind of the way that I was feeling that situation.
I love that. That's awesome. And I know a big thing for me is just being thankful for where we live and where we got to grow up. And yeah, it's awesome to be able to welcome people into that. And there's room for everyone. We just have to be smart with the planning, and that's why we're thankful that it seems like you have some really good on the spot thinking, rolling with the punches. And it shows, the support for your campaign really shows when you drive around town. I think most houses have your sign out in front of them. And
That's awesome.
and people coming by, spreading the word on bike. And
So cool.
those people are so friendly, saying that, you know, we're just so lucky to have you. And I just feel like the support is awesome, and especially being a woman as well, just in this world. I'm sure being a woman in politics is much harder than being a man, like in every field. And same for you, Helena. For a musician, you know, sometimes people don't take women as seriously, which I think is terrible. I feel like women are so powerful, and we really need to just let women lead, because I feel like the feminine energy does just such a great job with, you know, leading us to the light and to just love and positivity. And so I'm so glad that you two were able to join us, because you know, there's so much love for all of you, and it's just, we just want to get it out there to people and share your messages and your music. And yeah, so just thank you again for taking your time out, and maybe we can hear another song from Helena.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and I want to say thank you for having both of us here tonight.
Of
both
course.
of us ladies for your first show to kick it off. That's amazing.
Of course, yeah. We're so thankful to have Andrew Ware over here making everything happen, and Zach Benavidez making everything happen, and you know, Benavidez. It really takes a village, and we just couldn't be having a better time with it all. So thanks for being part of the first one. We know that hopefully it looks and sounds good out there, but you know, we're just dialing everything in as we go. So yeah, so Helena, I don't know if you want to say anything more about this tune. Is this from your EP Confluence?
This song is actually a part of the new album that I'll be putting out soon.
Awesome.
So
Another new one, yay.
3 new ones tonight.
Dang.
Yeah, and then no more new ones. We'll go with the old ones after.
Well, we like them all.
Yeah, old but gold.
Yeah.
This new song is called How Can I Complain? And I'm on a new microphone here. Pretty loud. And yeah, I don't normally play piano. It's kind of like a new thing for me, so...
It's a treat for us then, huh?
Yes, bear with me if I sound a bit silly. Here we go.
It's going to be amazing.
How can I complain? She's got a husband and kids of time to just rest, and it's driving her insane. What's wrong with my brain? I can't take the day off, then home if I want, suffocating problems. Life keeps passing by. I keep wasting time. I can't hold out any longer. Can be a better daughter. Is it that I'm vain? Life's not croissants and lattes, although I just want a reason to explain. Hostile energy. I feel more complacent than you, who's a JC, and the outcome's not the same. Life keeps passing by. I keep wasting time. I can't hold out any longer. Can be a better daughter. When it all gets said and done, the only proposition is time for us to listen. When the ocean meets the skies, I pray it's not too late for us all to be forgiven. When it all gets said and done,
awesome.
Thank you.
Nice, thank you. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Helena. Thanks again for sharing some of your new songs with us. And
Thanks for
we're,
giving me a space to share them.
of course, we're looking forward to that album coming out. When did you say it was coming out again?
Looking at the middle or end of December, but we'll probably be announcing it around next week.
Cool, perfect.
Counting down the days.
Kelly's your biggest fan.
Kelly, I'm your fan too.
And a lot of love in this room, you know. We're just so thankful to be here and to have this opportunity with, you know, not a lot going on. We people get creative, you know. Touring stops and gigs stop, but musicians lock themselves in their room and write, and a lot of good music comes out of that. And I feel like music has always been able to bring people together and really correlates with politics, I feel like, and different wars and stuff like that. During the Vietnam era, there was a big movement with flower power and stuff like that, where there was very large gatherings of people. And I feel like a lot of people in power can be intimidated by that, because there's so many people and we have the numbers and we have the message, and we want you know, things to be right and things to be good. So we're lucky to have, you know, a very honest politician here, and someone who just started as grassroots. Just people wanted to appoint you, you know, as deputy mayor because of your vision, Kelly. And so let's I want you guys both to maybe talk a little bit about that, or just anything feel like you want your fans / your people who are going to be voting for you to sort of just anything you want them to hear.
Well, I think that I'll go first if
Yeah,
okay.
please.
Okay, so I think that oftentimes in this role, and probably Helena experiences this too, where you have this time where you're like having to gather up your ego, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna go in front of people, I have to talk to people, I have to have a message, I have to be inspiring, you have to be all these things to a lot of people.
It's a lot of pressure, yeah.
A lot of pressure. And you're kind of riding these waves of feeling up to the task and then totally not up to the task at all. And I think that any good leader is getting that energy from others. They're getting the directive from the community, they're getting the input from a resonance of differing perspectives that come together and say this is the way. I imagine it's a lot like being a performer, where when you're in front of an audience who likes your music and who is responding, you can become a version of yourself that you didn't even really know you were capable of, perhaps. So this social change that you mentioned from the past, and actually I was talking to Zach's dad about that, because he grew up during the Vietnam War, and I think really influenced him for the rest of his life, we're living in that moment right now, and
Totally.
we're not going back to a normal that we remember. We're in this process right now where we're going to come out of this on the other side very different than we were even a year ago. And so we're all realizing we've got to be the ones to direct that, because there have been a lot of failures in the past that we're not okay with anymore. And now that we're all adults, we're looking at ourselves like, all right, well, what are we capable of and what can we do better? And
Right.
I'm really proud of Encinitas and the way that we responded to the killing of George Floyd, because we put ourselves on the map, I think, in the county of San Diego for being a community that stood up and said, we're not okay with racial injustice. We speak out against it. The group Encinitas for Equality formed just from some women who got together and said, we want to do better for our children. We want to educate our kids with more equitable curriculum. We want to make sure that we have the accountability and transparency from our law enforcement agents. And we want to make sure that Black businesses and Black people can thrive in Encinitas. And being part of that moment in our city was really transformative for me, as a time where I'm like, well, I don't have all the answers, and I'm not going to have all the answers, but by having an open and productive conversation with people from all different perspectives, we're going to get a lot closer to the kind of world that we want to live in.
Definitely. That's kind of our aim here too. We want to just share that with everyone watching online, and so that's amazing. I'm really glad that you have such a capability of rolling with the punches, like I said, and that open communication is definitely the most key to all figuring it out together, because we're definitely, no one has the answers and we're all in this together, right?
That's true.
So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And so, Helena, do you want to add anything to that?
Sure. And Kelly, can I just say I love watching you speak. You're so articulate and passionate when you speak, and something I really admire.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I really agree with you in a lot of ways, too. I mean, I think everyone can agree that change needs to happen, that it's long overdue, and we are going to come out of this better off. And as a musician and a songwriter, we do kind of have a duty in a way to reflect the times, and that definitely was going on around the times of the Vietnam War. Music was a huge superpower of the world to kind of communicate the injustice and the way we felt, and to also bring joy. And as a musician, I'm trying my best to bring joy to people right now when they need it most. And
you're doing a great job.
Hopefully to express our gratitude for having people to listen that actually care, and to connect everyone together when it feels so unconnected, you know?
Right, that's the power of music. It's so symbiotic, you know, we can really connect people. Just one song can really change the world, and, you know, one gathering, you know, can really just change the whole set of politics, or, you know, just the way that our world operates. So, that's awesome. Well, do you have some more songs prepared you want to do?
I sure do.
Well, let's hear another tune.
Yeah. This next song that I wanted to play, here, I'll talk closer to the mic. The next song I wanted to play, this song is called Howlin' at the Moon. Kind of,
Nice.
yeah, I feel like we all feel like that sometimes. Sometimes you're like, just discombobulated in the brain. I'm just like, at the moon.
Right.
It's a beautiful moon today, by the way.
It is.
Oh yeah,
moon's
check out the
crazy
moon if
today.
you haven't already, folks. It's nice. And this song, the music was all created by a local legend, Albert Hurtado. I know you know him.
He's a good friend, yeah.
He is a great guy, super talented, and he made the music for this, asked me to sing and write on it, and we made some magic. And we had a buddy of ours too, Seiji Como, who's in Ocean Beach, part of Boostive. He helped mix it and recorded some drums and got it sounding all nice and sweet for us. So
That's
it's
awesome.
a good collaborative work effort there, and that song is out on all streaming sites. This one is available to listen to.
Perfect. You guys
Yeah.
go check that out after you finish listening to it live here.
All right, here we go. Feeling what I do. Howling at the moon. Oftentimes it feels like you are sweet on me now. Other days I can't begin to figure you out. Don't tell me it's personal, babe, 'cause you're falling asleep. You're not falling for me, no. Ooh, feeling what I do. Ooh, howling at the moon. Said I'm tired of the words you won't say. Now my pressure, you're no longer my slave. I'm still breathing without you, no. I'm awake, yeah. Ooh, feeling what I do. Ooh, howling at the moon. Yes, I'm howling at the moon. I said I'm feeling what you do. I know. Said I'm howling, yes I'm howling at the moon.
wonder where we go. Far away, I hope. You know I can't resist. Your kiss is all I miss. Worry about yourself. Don't fall under a spell. Dive into your craft. Forget about your past. Ooh, feeling what I do. Moon. Yes, I'm howling at the moon. I don't know. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 ooh. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 ooh. Feeling what I do. Ooh, howling at the moon. Yes, I'm howling at the moon. Said I'm feeling what I do. No. No. Said I'm howling, yes I'm howling at the moon.
That was great.
Thank you
Love that.
guys.
Yeah, the album version is amazing, and your stripped down version was even better.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome. So let's we're getting close to the end here, but I just wanted to bring up one more topic with you, Kellie. So me and Zach and Andrew were chatting the other night about gentrification, and just obviously it's inevitable everywhere, it happens everywhere, but sort of the patterns was interesting that Andrew brought up is that it seems like in a area that is sort of like cheaper, low income, easier to live at, a lot of artists move there and sort of create this scene, and a lot venues pop up, music, painting, all this and that, and then it seems like it catches on, and more like wealthy people who maybe aren't into the arts at all want to move there, and then they end up kind of taking a lot of the housing and driving prices up, and obviously we've seen that happen here in Encinitas a lot, and I just wanted to kind of get your opinion on that, and just sort of like what your vision is, because obviously, like we were saying, you know, we want to share what we have, but we want to make it also affordable and able for regular folks to also stay living here and stuff. So what's kind of your take on that?
I think this is the biggest issue of our election, this question of housing, where to put it, and how to kind of move into a time and space where there are more people living in Encinitas than there were 20 years ago. So gentrification, yes, it's happening in Encinitas. It's been happening in Encinitas for a long time, you know, including artists and musicians. It's also people of color are displaced by this process.
Right.
A friend of mine, Karina Contreras, is a council member in the city of Vista, and she is, I think she's a little younger than me, and her family story is that they lived in Encinitas and they had a home on Leucadia Boulevard, and then when it was time for the government to build the I-5, her family's home was eminent domain, and you know,
Wow.
they had to pick up and find a different place to live.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so Encinitas has really gone from a place of being affordable to the middle class, a place for people of the middle income, teachers, firefighters, artists, seniors, you know, everybody who is not uber wealthy to live here. And I think it's become, you know, even less affordable in the last 10 years. And all of California is dealing with this
Right,
problem.
definitely.
We're not unique in this problem, but I think what we're unique in is that there is such a resistance to accepting more housing. And it's a little confounding to me because we all have, you know, everyone's had a kid. Like people, I don't know what people thought. Like you have kids, you have to put them somewhere.
Right.
And there's a story that a former mayor told me, Teresa Barth, she told me that, you know, Cardiff was this great place, and it became, I'm talking specifically about the Composer District, the walking district, that's the one right there by Cardiff Elementary.
Yeah.
And it was this wonderful place, and then it became unaffordable. And so everybody who had kids there still wanted their kids to be able to live in the city of Encinitas. And so that's kind of the origin story of Village Park. So Village Park became a place for the kids of the kids who grew up in Cardiff to live. And Village Park, I think, kind of set off this feeling in the city of Encinitas of people who were like, we don't want these huge tract developments, and we don't like this isn't very Encinitas. But now you go to Village Park and it's lovely. It's the traffic is calm, you have bike lanes, you have these beautiful green belts. So many generations of Encinitans have grown up in Village Park. They turned out great. Right. And it's a lovely place that has actually pretty, you know, high density. There's duplexes, and I don't know that there's any multifamily, but I know that there's at least duplexes, and it's not affordable still, but yet it's closer to affordable than we have in Encinitas. So the second part of your question, you know, what do we do about this problem? Because it's so politically difficult to say, okay, I'm a renter, I'm a person who grew up in Encinitas, I'm a third generation resident, and I think that we need to be able to accommodate the growth that we have generated from within.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
yeah, it's very politically difficult to say that, but I believe that, and I believe that we can do it because we have a very aggressive program to encouraging the construction of granny flats, and so that allows for a smaller home to be built on the site adjacent to the existing home.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a beautiful program. There's no fees to go to permit one of those, and we actually have ready-made plans on the city website where you can just print them off, hand them over to your builder, and you know there is still some things that need to be evaluated before you can begin construction, but it's really easy. It's an award-winning program. Wow. The city's really set the stage for that to be a strategy for California to deal with our unaffordable issue. And then another one that we're looking forward towards down the road is to look at El Camino Real. I learned this term recently, what's called a gray field, and it's the places where you have huge parking lots that generate heat, and they're, you know, underutilized now because not a lot of people are doing the big box retail shopping anymore. You can get most of it online. Right. And so how do we create a mixed use development along El Camino Real so we have live work? And sort of the vision would be that you don't have as much traffic because when people live close to where they work, they're not getting in their car to go around. You generate less trips because it's not just commercial of cars coming in and out, so you're not creating more circulation problems. Right. And you can kind of create a more vibrant version of El Camino Real than it is right now. There are some amazing small businesses in there, but they kind of get lost in all the shuffle. Definitely. So, you know, I think it's looking into the future. That's probably not going to happen within the next 5 years, but at least within the next 5 years we'll have the specific plan. So that's how you create the underlying zoning to make that possible, so that when these big box retail leases start coming up, their landlord can go, well, I could renew your lease, or I could do a development where I might have smaller retail in the front, but then I could have, you know, 2 stories of homes built on top. And then it becomes a more efficient use of very valuable space and could actually have homes that are affordable to the middle class.
That's awesome. I hope that they would be, you know, because it's hard with anything new in Encinitas today. It feels like it's so unattainable for the regular Joe, you know. Yeah. Growing up for me, I know a lot of my neighborhood was greenhouses, and Encinitas used to be the flower capital of the world, as you guys know, and then it was like an interesting time when I was a little kid where they were starting to get torn down, and then they were really fun forts to make and play with, and then now they're all these giant homes, and you know, I'm thankful for the growth like we're talking about, but at the same time, you know, I hope that they do that. If they do approve that and build those, that they do stay affordable, because I know a lot of people are money and power hungry. So like I keep saying, I'm thankful that you are in this position and have this vision and these morals, and yeah, we're just lucky to have you helping out our city.
Well, hopefully I can keep it. Hopefully I can win the election in
4
days.
Yeah.
It's, you know, the unfortunate thing is it's a lot easier to build a mini mansion than it is multifamily housing. And in Encinitas, when your value of land is so high, you have a developer who's like, well, I could go through all the political drama of trying to build a place here that could fit 5 families, or I could just build one that fits 1 family and it's 5,000 square feet. Probably going to do that. You know, I came back from college after 10 years away from Encinitas, and to see these 5,000 square foot homes in this neighborhood, I was like, wow, our land is extremely valuable.
Yeah, it's crazy. And as far as like residents who have been here for a while, I know a lot of them are very lucky to be able to have duplexes and whatnot. I know my mom is lucky to have a duplex and she can rent it out. But another topic we were discussing the other night is rent and prices going up and down with rent. And I know that I've heard that sometimes rent goes up, like at the beginning of the year they'll just say, or whenever, you know, prices are going up. But I'm just a little confused on who decides that, and also just thankful for the people who are keeping the prices low, because yeah, like the land is worth a lot more, and just in general, obviously inflation, stuff costs a lot more nowadays. But as far as just keeping the rent down and stopping people from just buying a bunch of places and charging a bunch of money, putting a little money into fixing them up and then charging more, do you have any sort of thoughts on that or plans or anything?
Yeah, that's tough for the government to get involved in.
Right,
you know,
right.
every time the state of California grapples with rent control, it's really controversial, because I think a lot of people make their living by being a landowner, a property
Totally.
owner. So I think the most important thing that we can keep our eye on in the city is preservation of our, I learned this term today too, it's called NOAA, which is naturally occurring affordable. And so places where we have NOAAs, which is, you know, a apartment building that was built prior to the city's incorporation, which is the only time really that apartment buildings could get built in Encinitas,
Right.
and saying this is an important resource as being affordable. How can we as a city either buy this building and make sure, you know, with a land trust,
Oh, wow.
wouldn't be the city probably from our general fund, but
Then keep it.
you know, yeah, keep it there and say this always needs to be a place for people of low income so that they can afford to live here.
That's awesome.
It's hard to do.
Right, I know. This has the city been being fined for? I know there's like not enough affordable housing, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So the main thing that we as a city have faced is that we've not been compliant with the state law regarding affordable housing, and we've been one of the last cities in the state to be compliant with state law. So you know, it's really complicated and technical, but in 2013, the voters in Encinitas passed a measure called Prop A, which means that any change in density that would make something more dense would need to be approved by a vote of the people. And so the last 2 times that we've tried to submit a plan to the state which would make us compliant with the law, it has not passed by a vote of the people. So
Okay.
instead of the state being like, oh, too bad you didn't pass it, the state's like, well, what are you gonna do? Because you gotta do something. And so we were sued by people on both sides, both the building industry and the affordable tenants group.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's been a very expensive process, which is taxpayer dollars going towards losing lawsuits, which I'm not in
good.
favor of.
Definitely not a good use of our money.
$2 million we've spent on that.
Yikes.
Right, I know so many better uses of that money, but at the end of the day, a judge decided that the city council would go ahead and have to adopt the most recent housing element. So that was Measure T. You probably all voted on that. And I think people really thought that we had the choice to say yes or no to housing, and that was never the choice. The choice was always how. And so
I see.
we're getting the how figured out now.
Yeah, kind of coming back to the whole growth is inevitable, but how do we go about it? How do we facilitate that?
Yeah.
So, awesome. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of good ideas for the city and are really just on it. So
Yeah,
thank you.
and it's, I think what I'm learning is that as a politician, you can't do it alone. Like, you know, my seat is not, I love having your support and I'm happy to see my signs everywhere, but it's really a fickle game. And so, you know, I could
Right.
make one really bold decision and the tide could turn. And unless there's a group of people who live here in the city that share that value and are saying this over and over and over again at city council meetings, we want affordable housing, we want affordability to be part of our stated goals, we don't want to have this dysfunction anymore, it's very easy that, you know, we could lose our seats and it could turn over to people who think that we should be spending money to defend ourselves against the state and spending money in lawsuits that we're going to lose. So
Right.
what we need is young people who are invested in the city to say, this is what we want.
And luckily, I think there's a lot more young people than old, because it seems like, you know, people have 3 or 4 kids, 5 kids. So I feel like I've heard some stats of the numbers with this generation are there, and like you said, we just need those people to get together and, you know, agree on stuff and make it happen.
Yeah,
So.
and I shouldn't write off the old people either. We need the old
True,
people
true,
to be
true.
saying it. And in fact, some of our strongest advocates for affordable housing are seniors who have almost lost their ability to live in the city, and so they've realized how vulnerable it is to be a renter in this city, and that they don't want other people who have spent their entire lives living in our city to, at the end of their life, have to move somewhere else, that they don't have that community and support.
Right, yeah, and that's the thing. We are thankful for our community here, and so many cool events and businesses and just individuals who make it what it is, you know. And it might not be like it was when we had the artist colony and we had all these cool spots that were, you know, happening, but we got to just hold on to what we got and just keep going from there. So
Well, you're doing all the right stuff by giving music a venue here, and by staying as part of this community and doing things where you're bringing people together. This is exactly the right track.
So glad to hear that. Well, let's go back and talk to Helena, and we're gonna wrap up the show here soon, maybe with one more song and then a little outro. But is there anything else you want to share, Helena, about? So we talked about your new EP coming out, or your new full album, and then your EP Confluence. Do you have any like safe live shows coming up? Or I know the Roxy's doing music, right? And you play there a lot.
Yeah, every so often.
Okay.
Tomorrow night I'm actually playing a duo gig with my trumpeter, and his name's Cade Goffart, and
he's amazing.
yeah, we're playing in Escondido though, not Encinitas.
Oh, okay.
If people want to know more information on that, you can visit my Instagram and my website.
Where in Escondido?
It's a place called Bellamy's.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it'll be
Cool.
my first time there, but should be fun.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that they're supporting you guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, Cade is an exceptional trumpet
You know
player.
Cade,
so
yeah.
such a great duo.
Mhm.
Well, let's hear one more song you have to kind of take us out.
Sure.
And, unless Kelly, do you have anything else you want to share with everyone, or kind of got in?
I don't think I do. I think this is going to be a historic election, and I think that more people are going to vote than ever have before, and I'm just excited to live in a country that is motivated to vote. I mean, we're really lucky. We have a huge responsibility, and with it come all these rights that we need to defend.
Right. We're lucky that we have that sort of system where we get to vote. And even like we were talking about women haven't even had the right to vote for that long, right? Do you know what year?
I do, because we're celebrating the 100th anniversary this year in 2020. So in 1920 was when women got the vote. Yeah, so my
Wow.
grandma, she's 96, and you know, she just barely was able
That's
to
crazy.
vote.
Just your grandma,
Yeah.
you know?
It's
wow.
amazing.
Mhm.
Well, I'm glad that the world is going in a different direction, and that women are able to help lead us. And yes, because something that made a big impact on me, just if you guys want to check it out, was and a big influence, going back to influences, one of my biggest influences is the NPR Tiny Desk video concert. And
Oh yeah.
Common, the rapper, him along with Kareem Riggins and Robert Glasper they did two episodes, and one had a song called "If Women Take Over the World," which just really still gives me chills just thinking about it. And if you guys haven't checked out that video, check it out. And then the next one, they actually foreground women, and they bring 3 different women to sing with them, and just there's a lot of good conversation that goes on about that. So yeah, if you guys out there haven't checked it out, check that out. And
Yeah, must.
Kyre, that is like my favorite video from Tiny Desk.
Right,
It's
me
like
too.
the first one, and I didn't even know there was a part 2, so now I'm really stoked to go home and watch part 2.
Yeah, August Green. Then they create
yeah.
a group out of that show, or out of that episode. They're like, we should just be a group, and they've all
Yeah.
been friends forever. So
Yeah, their chemistry is unreal.
right. So yeah, let's hear you take us out.
Sure. Yeah, the song I'm gonna play here is called Confluence, and it is the title track off of the EP I released earlier this year. And what you were saying about Barn Time kind of bringing us all together was kind of the perfect segue for this song, because confluence means like the merging of 2 rivers and the meeting of 2
Wow.
minds. So here we all are in this confluence.
How
and
perfect.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Love is what you gave to me. Naturally, without a guarantee. But what's the point of love if neither one is brave enough to see these through? Curious to know, as the hours come and go, what shall we do? Maybe we're meant to be apart for now. Follow the idle calls, you hear them howl. Gather your things and run, your time is now. If it's your final show, please take a bow. Always on my mind, can't seem to redesign the echoes of lost time. Give and take some more is all you really know. I wonder if it's real for you. For your sake I hope so. Maybe we're meant to be apart for now. Follow the idle calls, you hear them howl. Gather your things and run, your time is now. If it's your final show, please take a bow.
Guys, but I got chills from that one. Wow, that was
thank
so
you.
good, Helena. Yeah. Thank
thanks so
you.
much.
Thank you again for being here, and Kelly for you being here. And we just have had I've had amazing times. I can only speak
Me
for
too.
myself,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
hope you guys have.
Yeah,
and,
you did a great job. You're so sincere and so
Oh.
full of empathy.
Oh, thank you so much.
Seriously.
That means a lot. I am very nervous, and like I keep saying, this is our first one, so bear with us out there if the video's a little glitchy or something like that. We are dialing it in, and we are just so stoked on this opportunity. And if you or anybody out there, you know, watching online wants to be involved with Barn Time, think you would be a great fit, or you know someone, send us a direct message, and we would love to connect. And that's we have a few mottos here: everything on wheels, applied storage.
Even the barn, is that on wheels? I don't know.
That might be sketchy.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
That's good. Then we
Let's
could
take it on the road.
Yeah, take it on tour, man.
you're a genius. So yeah, we're just so thankful again, and big thanks to Andrew Ware over here producing, Zach
Woo.
Benavidez back
Ow,
here
ow.
on the co-host, Camera on Wheels, legend. Yeah, so this has been the first Barn Time, brought to you by Apogee Creatives here live in Encinitas, and we look forward to the next one. So have a great night, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. And we're gonna take you out with the Casio.